Here's some of the items that we're going to use to repack these bearings. We have gloves, a brush, a bearing packer, a punch kit, Varsol paint thinner, an empty jug, which we're going to cut in half to put the Varsol in to clean the bearings, paper towel, safety glasses, a grease gun, and wheel bearing grease, which is the correct grease to use in bearings. So once you have the hub taken off the trailer, take some Varsol. You're going to put it in your little container that we cut, and then we're going to clean the bearing in the Varsol. You're going to take your brush, and brush all the little rollers in here to get the grease out. Once you have the bearing cleaned, you're going to inspect the rollers. You're looking for any damage, any scarring, anything that shouldn't be there. These bearings look good, so we're going to set them aside to dry here. So that's the outer bearing. If you flip the hub over, you have a seal here with an inner bearing. To take out this inner bearing, we have to pull out this grease seal. Once you take off this grease seal, you're going to damage it, so you have to replace it. If you don't replace it and you reuse this old seal, you're not going to have a proper seal around the rubber ring on the axle. A seal puller, you put it in and you just pull on it. We're going to take the inner bearing out and repeat the same steps as the first bearing. We're going to clean it, get all the old grease off, and inspect it for any damage. We're going to inspect the rollers, looking for any scarring, any signs of damage. These bearings look pretty good, so we're going to dry them off and reuse them, put them back in this hub. Next, we're going to take some paper towel and we're going to clean the inside of this hub, because on the inside you're going to have a bunch of grease in there around the races. And while you're cleaning it, inspect the race for any damage. If there's any damage, then you have to take a punch and punch that race out and put a new one in. That's the inner race. Here's the outer race. Same thing, we're going to look for any scarring or any damage in here. So these races look good. There's no damage. I'm satisfied with them. So we're going to start with the outer bearing. Sorry, the inner bearing. We're going to start with the inner bearing, because that one there we have to put with the new grease seal. Just want to make sure it's nice and dry. We've already inspected them at this point, and we're satisfied that the bearings are in good shape to reuse. We're going to take our bearing packer, and we're going to put our bearing in there. Once we put the bearing inside, we're going to pump grease into it with our packer. Disconnect this, clean it up. And what you'll find inside is a nicely packed bearing. We're just gonna move the grease around. Once we have the bearing packed, we can put it back into the inner hub. We're gonna get a new grease seal, and we're gonna punch it in place. You gotta make sure you punch it in level, otherwise you can damage the seal itself. And we're gonna find the punch that's bigger than that. I'm just gonna punch it in place. Take a mallet and you punch it until it's flat. Next we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the exact same but for the outer bearing. Make sure it's completely dry. Put it back into our grease packer. We're going to smear the grease around it. And that's it. That's how you repack trailer wheel bearings. Your next step would be taking this hub back over to your trailer axle and installing it there.